all the different religions, all the different kinds. Who cares? God is one, let's face it. And then that they really have food together, they eat together, they celebrate together, and then they share their pain, and then they share their difficulties, and then they share their suffering, and then they share their successes. But it must be done in the spirit of celebration, because I've found that happiness and joy is what gives us the energy. So I've started all of this, so all of those 7 laws are my way of trying to help people to get to this next stage where they're not afraid to find their heartbreak, find their passion, and start putting it into action in ordinary life, in our local communities. Potentially this could transform everything.
I would agree 100% with absolutely everything. I think that was extremely well said. I had a comment about Deepak Chopra, who said lots of things that I like.
Yes.
One of which is, quantum physics is not weirder than you think, it's weirder than you can think, which I always love, right? That's very Deepak.
Yes.
And then there was the networking. What I found in, we have a site, angelmystics.com, where we do Kabbalah work on Tuesday nights on the radio.
Wonderful.
Yeah, which is magnificent. And one of our Kabbalists, Cynthia, was chased by half of Hollywood back in the 90s. She's very powerful, but she just wants to work quietly and humbly.
Very wise.
She's beautiful, beautiful, full of love. And as we work together, and my mother used to say this, the work of 2 will do the work of 3.
Oh, God, yes.
And 2 engines on a rocket in the moon will do the work of 3.
Jesus says this, when 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I'm there. The consciousness gets much more intense and much more powerful when you do it together, like it does between us.
Right.
That's the whole point.
Right, right.
Relationship is the bed of the new world.
Yes.
We're not going to do it on our own, we're going to do it together.
Right.
Right.
Right, and these networks that you have, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And as they spread, they'll become more and more powerful by the power of just a few people gathered in a common passion and purpose.
Absolutely, because the divine will work through that network of relationships. And not just the power, the spiritual power, but also the creativity. You have a wonderful idea here, I have a wonderful idea here, she has a wonderful idea there, and we marry them and something else happens, which is extraordinary. It's like a chemical reaction. You put this and this, and then a third thing is born of this, and the fourth thing is born. Synergy is the most powerful thing in the universe. This is part of the wisdom of the divine feminine. You know, the masculine works very often through division, and the feminine works through unity. And this unity that I believe Networks of Grace can help us with is a way of inviting in the power of the divine feminine, which, being the power of life, is something that can help us preserve life.
I think you're absolutely right. It's the togetherness of relationships and marrying the polarities.
Yes.
And as women get into their power, which men have had in the patriarchy, and men get into their hearts, which women have owned for the last 4,000 years, as we marry that, then we really become hugely powerful and full of divine juice and love and enthusiasm
this is
and
the
ecstasy.
Whole point. Absolutely. You see, sacred activism is a marriage of opposites. Traditionally, we've kept prayer and action separate. We've kept mysticism and radicalism separate. I believe that by uniting them, we actually birth something new, a force of divine transforming change, because the divine is both peaceful and passionate. It's both being and becoming. It's both feminine and masculine, if you like. So when you combine deep, deep mysticism with profound action, you are actually birthing the full divine on earth.
Talk to us about the Institute, because we only have a few minutes left, so we're going to have to...
I have started what I call, rather grandly, the Institute for Sacred Activism, and I've started it in Oak Park, Illinois. And this year we're dedicating 4 initiations. 40 people are coming to help me co-create a global curriculum of sacred activism for the whole world. And these 4 initiations correspond, I think, to the 4 different aspects that you're going to need to combine to birth this sacred marriage in yourself. So one initiation is into the mysticism of the sacred marriage, of this union of matter and spirit, feminine and masculine, heaven and earth, that I believe is the truth of the divine nature and our divine nature, and about how to construct a really profound spiritual practice that is the basis for sacred action. The second initiation is what I call about the intelligence of the heart. If you're working in very difficult situations, you're going to need 3 fundamental forms of heart intelligence. You're going to be constantly doing shadow work, which is of course the most profound kind, I think. You're going to constantly know how to really exercise the wisdom of compassion in what you're doing. And there are very different forms of meditation and skill to that. And you're going to need skills of listening and reconciliation and forgiveness, because we are not going to be working in difficult situations with people who agree with us, and we're often going to be working in situations in which tremendous suffering has been caused by both sides. So how do we work in these situations with the wisdom of the heart to bring people together? The third initiation is about an intellectual initiation into how the systems work that are now threatening the planet. What is this? What is the dark side of the corporations? What is the dark side of the churches? What is the dark side of the media? And also, what are those systems that are emerging that can be really constructive and creative? Because we're living at this time in which one world is dying, which has to die, and another world is emerging in that. So to have as clear an intellectual understanding of how this works is very important for the sacred activism.
It is, and there's a lot of, my son, I have a teenager who gave me a book about the motivation of greed.
Oh my God. To understand greed is to understand our contemporary world. It's a very, very difficult, obviously a heroin. It intoxicates us.
And it's an obvious motivator for corporations.
Unfortunately,
how do you,
yes.
Right. So, right. So
and how it works and how it ties in with a mindset that is dissociated, unemotional, that subjects nature to torture and exploitation. That is extremely important. And not just to go on demonizing the corporations, but to release people from a mindset that is now suicidal.
Right.
I'm not interested in just repeating demonization. I'm trying to help a situation in which people are trapped in a mindset which is actually now lethal to themselves as well as other people.
And the fourth?
The fourth is the sacred body. I believe that if sacred activism is about, as I believe, the birth of the divine in the human, it's extremely important to have a strong, supple, sacred body. And I've been working with a major yoga teacher to create a new kind of yoga which marries yoga and mystical meditation. So that's what I'm going to be giving in that.
All right. Well, we're all looking forward to going to the Institute.
Come to the Institute.
AndrewHarvey.net. Buy his book, The Hope.
The Hope.
Come visit us and see the program again at angelmystics.com. And thank you for tuning in to Our Passion TV. Thank you for being with us, Andrew.
Pleasure.
It is really a blessing to have you here.
Anytime you want me, I'm here, darling.
I'm going to hold you to that. We'll have you back.